Hello and welcome to another episode of today's 𝐿𝐲 I am 𝐏𝐲 𝐏𝐫𝐞𝐬, and in this segment we are going to discuss objective questions on a daily basis as we do to help you crack prelims. So let's begin with the practice question of last segment. Consider the following statements regarding 𝐸PSA. 𝐸PSA stands for India, Brazil, Spain and Australia, and India is the current chair of 𝐸PSA Dialogue Forum. Joint naval exercise of 𝐸PSA members is called 𝐸PSAMAR. We have to select the correct statement. So 𝐸PSA doesn't stand for India, Brazil and Spain and Australia. No, it stands for India, Brazil and South Africa. Okay, so the first statement is incorrect. And yes, India is the current chair of 𝐸PSA Dialogue Forum. Also, the third statement is correct, that joint naval exercise of 𝐸PSA members is called 𝐸PSAMAR. Okay, so the correct answer should be 2 and 3. That is option C. Recently, India organized the 𝐸PSA Tourism Ministers virtual meeting. 𝐸PSA stands for India, Brazil and South Africa. India is the current chair of 𝐸PSA Dialogue Forum and joint naval exercise of 𝐸PSA members is called 𝐸PSAMAR. Moving forward, consider the following statements. Congressional Gold Medal is the highest civilian award in the UK. Nelson Mandela was a recipient of the Congressional Gold Medal. We have to select the correct statement. So, recently Mahatma Gandhi has received the Congressional Gold Medal in the US, not UK. It is the highest civilian award in the US. So the first statement is incorrect. The second statement is correct, that yes, Nelson Mandela was a recipient of the Congressional Gold Medal. So the correct answer to this question is option B, that is 2 only. Recently, Congresswoman Caroline Maloney from New York has reintroduced a legislation in the US House of Representatives to posthumously award the Congressional Gold Medal to Mahatma Gandhi for his contributions made through his methods of non-violence. The Congressional Gold Medal is the highest civilian award in the US, and Congressional Gold Medal has been awarded to the 1980 US Summer Olympics team, Robert F. Kennedy, Nelson Mandela and George Washington, among many others. One correction. Here, this award to Mahatma Gandhi has not been given recently, but has been declared to award him posthumously. Okay. So, moving forward with reference to the glacial lake outburst flood, consider the following statements. It occurs when the water dammed by a glacial moraine is released suddenly. Climate change is slowing the occurrence of glacial lake outburst flood. We have to select the correct statement. Glacial lakes are lakes which are formed with the help of glacier melt water, and they are actually kept in check to flow further with the help of moraines. Okay, so suppose this is a hill, this is a mountainous area, and this is the terrain, and here is a proper bowl kind of depression formed due to scraping of the layer from the glaciers. So what happens? Water submits itself here, and the water is actually kept in check to flow further, and whenever glaciers melt at a faster rate, what happens? These moraines suddenly get breached, and because of that outbursts appear. So climate change, of course, it has exaggerated and not mitigated or lessened the events of glacial lake outburst flood. So the first statement is correct, the second is incorrect. The correct answer is option A1 only. A glacial lake outburst flood refers to the flooding that occurs when the water dammed by a glacier or a moraine, that is accumulation of dirt and rock fallen onto the glacier surface, is released suddenly. When glaciers melt, the water in the glacial lakes accumulates behind loose natural glacial moraine dams made of ice, sand, pebbles and ice residue. Unlike earthen dams, the weak structure of the moraine dams leads to the abrupt breach of the dam on top of the glacial lake, which could cause flash floods in the downstream areas. According to National Disaster Management Authority, glacial retreat due to climate change occurring in most parts of the Hindu Kush Himalaya has given rise to the formation of numerous new glacial lakes, which are major cause of GLOFs. Moving on, consider the following statements. A ballistic missile is a rocket-propelled self-guided strategic weapon system. India is a signatory to the Code of Conduct against ballistic missiles proliferation. We have to select the statements which is or are not correct. Okay, so I guess the first statement is correct, that a ballistic missile is a rocket propelled self-guided strategic weapon system And India is a signatory to the Hague Code of Conduct. That is also correct. So the correct answer should be D, neither 1 nor 2, as both of them are correct. A ballistic missile, we have discussed these. So we shall move forward. Consider the following statements. The tricolor was adopted as our national flag at the Congress Committee meeting in Karachi in 1931. The flag code of 2002 mentions that tricolor cannot be used for commercial purposes, and the flag code of 2002 says that the tricolor should be rectangular in shape and the length to width ratio should always be 3:2. We have to select the correct statement. So our tricolor has been designed by which person? You have to name the person in the comment segment. And the tricolor was adopted as our national flag at the Congress Committee meeting in Karachi in 1931. Also, the flag code of 2002, it does mention that the tricolor cannot be used for commercial purposes, and the flag code of 2002 says that the tricolor should be in a proper rectangle shape and the length to width ratio should always be 3:2. So all of them are correct. The correct answer is option D. The tricolor was adopted as our national flag at a Congress Committee meeting in Karachi in 1931, and we have also discussed the next two statements, so we shall move forward. Consider the following statements regarding Navroz is inscribed. Regarding Navroz, we have to see Navroz is inscribed in the list of UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage of Humanity in India, and Navroz is celebrated by Parsis and Muslims, both Shia and Sunni. Gara sari is the traditional attire worn by Sunni women. We have to select the correct statement. Yes, Navroz is inscribed in the list of UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage of Humanity of India, and it is celebrated by Parsis and Muslims, both Shia and Sunni. And Gara sari is the traditional attire worn by Parsi women and not Sunni women. So the correct answer should be 1 and 2, option B. Recently, the Prime Minister has greeted the people on the occasion of Parsi New Year, that is Navroz. We have discussed the three statements, so we shall move forward. Consider the following statements with respect to PM Gati Shakti mission. It will help raise the global profile of local manufacturers and help them compete with their counterparts worldwide. It also raises the possibilities of future economic zones, and it is a 100 crore national infrastructure master plan. We have to select the correct statement. So the Prime Minister in his Independence Day speech has asked the entire India to strive for a balanced development which is employable in nature. So the Gati Shakti mission is supposed to have a proper set of opportunities for employment, and that is why it is an infrastructure master plan. So because more and more the infrastructural needs will be, more and more will be the demand of laborers and labor intensive employment. But it is not a 100 crore national infrastructure fund, it is a 100 lakh crore. So these are the small things that we need to scan in our prelims exam. We have to be careful with these sentences where something must be missing. Okay. So third statement is incorrect. First statement is correct, that it will help the global profile, raising of the global profile of local manufacturer, which will help them to have their own identity in the world and also compete with their counterparts around the globe. And also economic zones will be developed under it. So the correct answer is 1 and 2, that is option C. In his speech, PM Modi pegged the project as a source of employment opportunities for the youth in future. Moving on, we have discussed these, and yes, as you can see, it is a 100 lakh crore and not 100 crore mission. Moving on, consider the following statements with respect to food fortification. Regular milled rice is low in macronutrients and serves primarily as a source of carbohydrate only. Fortified rice contains vitamin A, B1 and B12 only. We have to select the statement which is or are incorrect. So, yes, food fortification helps the population to achieve nutrients, its own nutrients value which are needed, so that hidden hunger can be mitigated. So the first statement, if we talk about regular milled rice, that is not, these are not very much high in other macro and micronutrients and only rich in carbohydrate. Okay, but fortified rice will contain vitamin A, B1 and B12 along with folic acid and certain other nutrients. We will see them. So the second statement is incorrect. The first is correct. The correct answer is option B. Emphasizing that malnutrition is a hurdle in the development of women and children, Prime Minister Narendra Modi Sunday announced fortification of rice distributed under various government schemes, including public distribution system and midday meal scheme by 2024. Fortification is the practice of deliberately increasing the content of essential micronutrients, vitamins and minerals, including trace elements in food, so as to improve the nutritional quality of the food supply and provide a public health benefit with minimum risks to health. Regular milled rice, as we discussed, is low in micronutrients and serves primarily as a source of carbohydrate only. And the fortification of rice is a major opportunity to improve nutrition because a huge amount of our population is dependent on rice as primary meal. Also, fortified rice, it contains vitamin A, vitamin B1, B12, folic acid, iron and zinc. And let's talk about our next question. Consider the following statements with respect to Chabahar Port or project. India, Iran and Afghanistan signed the trilateral agreement which entailed the establishment of transit and transport corridor among them, using Chabahar Port in Iran as one of the regional hubs for sea transportation, and the agreement was signed in 2014. Construction of a rail line from Chabahar Port to Zahedan along the border with Afghanistan as an alternate trade route to Afghanistan and Central Asia was also a part of it. We have to select the correct statement. This trilateral agreement, which provides bypassing of the region of Pakistan by India, was very important and it still is very important. But the fall of Kabul recently has triggered tension regarding this project. So, yes, India, Iran and Afghanistan signed the trilateral agreement which entailed the establishment of transit, that means to move, and transport, that means to, through the movement, have the transportation of goods and services, among them using Chabahar Port in Iran as one of the regional hubs for sea transportation, and the agreement was signed in 2016. Okay, moving forward, if we talk about the construction of rail line from Chabahar Port to Zahedan, that was also entailed along with the border with Afghanistan as an alternate trade route to Afghanistan and Central Asia was also a part of it, and this project also a part of International North-South Transport Corridor. Okay, so we have to select the correct statement. Second one is incorrect. The first and the third are correct. The correct answer is option C. With the fall of Kabul and the security situation deteriorating in Afghanistan at a rapid pace, India has been on tenterhooks with regard to its assets in the war-torn country. Another worry haunting the Indians would be the fate of Chabahar Port in Iran, built jointly by India, Afghanistan and Iran. So we have also talked about the fall of Kabul and the situation in Afghanistan in our new series of today. Kindly do watch it. So, if we talk about the Chabahar project, India, Iran and Afghanistan signed the trilateral agreement which entailed the establishment of transit and transport corridor, among them using Chabahar Port in Iran as one of the regional hubs for sea transportation, signed in the year 2016. Let's have a map look of it. So, as you can see, safer transit of goods to Central Asia. But as we do not have that friendly relations with Pakistan, and Pakistan also doesn't let trade to transit through its own area, so that is why to bypass it, we had the Chabahar project through the trilateral agreement which connected India to this port of Chabahar in Iran. Okay, and then roadways and then railways like this. This project is modeled like this in order to have a balance of trade and an opportunity of trade for India through the region of Central Asia. But now let's see what happens. Moving forward, consider the following pairs. Column A and column B we have to match. Varuna is a naval exercise between India and Russia. Nasim al-Bahar between India and Oman. Konkan between India and Britain. And Indra between France and India. So we have to select the pairs which is all are correctly matched. Nasim al-Bahar, yes, we have also discussed about Nasim al-Bahar in one of our today's GK series only, so I hope you watched it and answering it according to that. Is a naval exercise between India and Oman. Also, Varuna is an exercise between France and India. So, this is not correctly matched, the first pair. Then Indra is an exercise between India and Russia. Okay, keep that in mind. 1 and 4 are incorrectly matched. Konkan is an exercise between India and Britain. So, second and third, these two pairs are correctly matched. The correct answer to this question is option B, 2 and 3 only. An Indian Navy frontline frigate docked at Portsmouth Harbour on England's south coast as part of a goodwill visit was at the heart of Sunday's Independence Day celebrations in the UK. Let's talk about certain naval exercises. Indra is a naval exercise between India and Russia. Malabar between India, Japan, US, and of course now Australia has also joined. Varuna between France and India. Then comes Simbex between Singapore and India. And Ipsamar, we have talked about Ipsamar, between India, South Africa and Brazil. This naval exercise takes place. Konkan between India and Britain. Ocendex between India and Australia. And Nasim al-Bahr between India and Oman. Moving on, let's talk about TAPAS, which was recently seen in the news. It is related to which of the following? Banking, education, taxation or defense. TAPAS is actually related to education. And let's see how. Union Minister for Social Justice and Empowerment, Dr. Virendra Kumar launched an online portal TAPAS, that is training for augmenting productivity and services developed by National Institute of Social Defense, Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. It is an initiative of National Institute of Social Defense, Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment to provide access to lectures by subject experts, study material and more, but in a manner that it supplements the physical classroom without compromising the quality of teaching. The main objective of introducing the course modules is to impart training and enhance the knowledge and skills for the capacity building of the participants. It can be taken up by anyone who wishes to enhance his or her knowledge on the topics, and there is no fee for joining. The 5 basic courses are on drug substance abuse prevention, geriatrics, elderly care and management of dementia, transgender issues, and comprehensive issues on social defense issues. Moving on, let's look at our practice question. What is the theme of India's 75th Independence Day? Nation first, always first. Atmanirbhar Bharat, healthcare first, India always first. So, I hope you'll be answering it correctly in the comment segment. That's it for today. Tomorrow we shall meet again with another segment. Until then, stay updated and thank you so much for watching.